The humid air of Mira Road, Mumbai, usually carried the familiar symphony of city life, distant traffic, children's laughter, the murmur of daily routines. But in the Akash Ganga building, a different, insidious note began to creep into the symphony. It was a smell, faint at first, then growing, day by day, into an unbearable, cloying stench that clung to the very walls of the 7th floor. It began on a Monday, a subtle, unsettling odor emanating from flat 704. Neighbors, accustomed to the occasional odd smell in a bustling apartment complex, initially dismissed it. Perhaps a dead rat, they murmured, hoping it would dissipate. But by Wednesday, the hope had curdled into dread. The smell was no longer just unpleasant. It was putrid, undeniable, a suffocating presence that demanded attention. Somesh, a resident on the same floor, felt a prickle of unease. He knew the couple in flat 704, Manoj Sain, a 56-old banker, and Sarah Vaidya, 32, his wife. They were quiet, kept to themselves, rarely mingling with other residents. Now, an instinct told him something was terribly wrong. He approached their door, the foul odor growing stronger with every step. He knocked once, then again, waiting. Silence. Then, a distinct, sharp hiss. The sound of air freshener being sprayed frantically, desperately, from within. A few minutes later, the door creaked open. Manoj Sain stood there, a helmet on his head, a mask covering his face. Only his eyes were visible, bloodshot and darting. And he was visibly shivering. He mumbled something about going out for work and quickly left the building. Somesh's unease solidified into alarm. This was not normal. He immediately alerted the building administration, and soon, the police were on their way. The police arrived, their faces grim as they too encountered the overwhelming stench. They broke down the door of flat 704. What they found inside was a scene of unimaginable horror. Sarah's body had been brutally dismembered. In the kitchen, 3 buckets held human body parts, bones, blood, and muscle. 2 cutters, 1 electric, lay nearby, silent witnesses to the gruesome act. Chillingly, investigators would later allege that some body parts had been boiled in a pressure cooker, a macabre attempt to hasten their disintegration. It was a scene that echoed another recent, infamous case of dismemberment, sending shivers through the city. As the investigation unfolded, more details emerged about Manoj and Sarah's hidden life. They had been together for 3 years in that Mira Road apartment, but their relationship was far older, stretching back to 2014 when Sarah, an orphan and school dropout from Ahmednagar, met Manoj at a ration shop where he worked. He had helped her find a job, and she had moved into his Borivali home, where they lived for 7 years before Mira Road. Initially, they were reported as live-in partners, but the police soon uncovered a darker truth. Manoj and Sarah were secretly married in a temple. The significant age gap between them, 56 and 32, had led them to conceal their marital status, even from Sarah's own sisters. She would often introduce Manoj as her maternal uncle. An orphanage worker who knew Sarah recalled her looking extremely troubled during a visit 2 years prior. A poignant detail in light of the later revelations of frequent physical assaults by Manoj. Meanwhile, the police had set a trap for Manoj. They instructed the neighbors to act normally, to avoid alarming him if he returned. When Manoj came back to the building, he stepped into the elevator, only to find himself face to face with uniformed officers. He tried to hide his face, to slip away, but the building's real estate agent, who had arrived at the scene, identified him. Manoj Sain was apprehended. Under interrogation, Manoj remained uncooperative, offering contradictory statements. He claimed Sarah had died after consuming poison, and he had dismembered her body in a panic to dispose of it. But the methodical nature of the dismemberment, the use of a tree-cutting chainsaw, the boiling of body parts, and the attempts to scatter remains in a nearby nullah, painted a picture of calculated intent rather than panic. Police suspected the motive stemmed from a domestic dispute or a fight between the couple. Manoj Sain remains in custody, and the investigation continues. As authorities work to piece together the full truth behind the horrific silence that once filled flat 704.